Welcome to another episode of Southern Arizona Nonprofits, the superheroes impacting our community. We're broadcasting live today on the Tucson Business Channel, a division of Mark Bishop Media, from the Stewart Title corporate offices on Broadway in Tucson, Arizona. We're brought to you today by SCIP, SSCIP, the Social Service Contractor Indemnity Pool, ensuring nonprofits like ours for more than 3 decades. I'm Barbara McClure, Executive Director of Impact to Southern Arizona, host of this show, and today I'm joined by 2 guests who've been working together recently to improve our community. One will talk about a newer education model used in Southern Arizona and how families can take advantage of this opportunity, and the other will share how their nonprofit club hosts a major annual fundraising event that supports other local community nonprofits, as well as how their members volunteer to make a difference throughout Southern Arizona and the world. Please join me in welcoming David Thatcher, principal of the Edge High School here in Tucson.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thanks for coming. And also Gary Coxon, who is a member of the Oro Valley Rotary and also the chair of the Oro Valley Rotary Foundation. Welcome, Gary.
And thank you very much. It's nice to be with you.
Thank you. Well, I thought these 2 gentlemen got together not too long ago because the Rotary was funding Edge High School. And so we thought it'd be fun to get together and learn more about Edge High School and find out more about what the Rotary does and how they're able to do such wonderful grant work in the community. So, David, what if we start with you and you can tell us about Edge High School and how it's different from many other schools? And I was kind of wondering, it's public, private, nonprofit, so many different options. Maybe you can describe it for us.
Okay, thank you, Barbara. Yes, Edge Schools is a 2-school district in Pima County. We're a public charter school, so we follow all of the rules and regulations for funding that any traditional charters or traditional school district would follow, along with mandated testing, etc. How do we look different? How are we different? We're far smaller than any traditional school that your student would attend or someone would attend. Our capacity at my campus on the northwest side of town is about 75, and we have another campus at Tucson Boulevard and Speedway, and the capacity there is right around 125, 135. So what that does is allow us to have super small classes. We rarely have any more than 15 to 20 kids in a classroom. We have one-on-one teacher status with TAs assisting. So if students are working on math or English and they're having a difficult time, they literally can have a teacher sit down right next to them and work with them and help support them. We follow a self-paced model. And the students use a program called Edgenuity, and in that program, most of the education process happens. There's a teacher on video where they're giving giving the lecture. Students are taking notes, and then as they move through that, there's usually an activity or an assignment that they complete, and then move into a quiz. And basically, what that allows the student to do is, if they want to go super fast because they understand the content that they're covering or the information that they're doing, they can do 2 or 3 sections at a time and move really quickly through a course. And we typically allow students through our credit recovery model to finish courses in 8 to 12 weeks, which then allows them to earn some of those credits that they've fallen behind. Several people would say, well, wait, why would a kid finish a class in 8 to 12 weeks, and why would they be able to do all of that? And so what I would say is, Edge serves a different group of students than most people think about when they think of traditional high school or even some charter schools. Many of our students are underserved or have come from backgrounds where they haven't really had a strong education basis. They have siblings that they're caring for or family members that they're caring for. They've literally just dropped out of school for a year or 2, and they're coming back to us with the new step, the new them, and attempting to earn their credits so they can graduate from high school. And what we can do with that credit recovery is allow them to hopefully speed up that process. As an alternative school, which is another kind of a stigma with regards to education, but as an alternative school, we also, we meet lots of students at the door, and we meet them as they are, and we really work towards helping them reinvigorate their enthusiasm for education and work towards graduation with small class sizes, content that's a little more engaging sometimes with regards to their self-paced aspect. They can choose different routes to go. Many kids have other outside pieces to their lives that are impacting them, and they can't attend a full day of school, like 6 to 7 or 8 hours, where we have a 4.5-hour model for most students. So in reality, the big picture for us is that as a school, as a district, since 1995, we've been serving the larger Pima County area to help students, better themselves, earn academic credits, graduate from high school, and hopefully help the community as a whole.
Very nice. And is it just high school? You don't have a K to 8?
Correct. Yes, we're just a 9 through 12 high school or secondary school.
Well, I can see why the Rotary was interested in funding EDGE.
Absolutely,
Sounds like such a
yes.
fun, neat model. And Gary, maybe you can talk about the Rotary. I know, first of all, people are so often familiar with the word Rotary, but just don't know what the club is like. And I think it would be fun if you could share, especially as you're chair of the foundation, but also I know you've been active in Rotary a long time, if you could share kind of how Rotary impacts the world.
Wow, that's a big question, Barbara, but thank you. I'll give it a shot.
Sure.
Well, first of all, Rotary was founded in 1905, so it's been around a long, long time. We are, it's the largest service organization in the world. We have about 1.2 million members in 35,000 clubs, and we operate in more than 200 countries, so it's even bigger than the UN in terms of its scope of countries we serve.
That's a fun analogy
that is
right
a
there.
great
Or,
analogy.
not
Love
an
it.
analogy, but just a general fact.
Yeah, it's a big organization and a pretty healthy one. It's a not-for-profit, and it is not affiliated with any religion. So our goal is to make things in our local community and in the world better, and we try to do that in lots of ways. Let me comment on our relationship with EDGE before I forget to do that, because it's really important.
Sure.
We discovered them 2 or 3 years ago. We've been providing some supplies for kids that might have a difficult time buying them. In the last 2 years, we've given them, they've been one of our principal beneficiaries from our Taste of Oro Valley, which I will try to get a chance to talk about later. So we're happy to do that. We have several of our members that are tutoring at EDGE. We applied for and got a district matching grant last year to help us help EDGE go on field trips that they might not otherwise get to do. So we have a great growing relationship with EDGE, and we're very proud of what they're doing. They're a terrific organization. Back to Rotary.
Sure.
Let's say the motto of Rotary is service above self. So we're trying to do that, and we do that through projects, both domestic projects and through international projects as well.
I think it'd be fun to hear some of, I think when I had heard of Rotary so many times, growing up, but I was surprised when I got more active in Rotary to find out that they were trying to solve and eradicate polio across the globe. I knew of them as a local group, but never realized what their global impact was. And I know we're very close.
Long time ago, Rotary decided that polio was something that really needed a tremendous amount of focus. And it's been our Rotary International's biggest health focus for many, many years. We've teamed with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. I guess it's the Bill Gates Foundation now. And he's been matching our contributions 2 for 1. So it's been a lot of focus. Rotary's put a lot of money and a lot of energy into solving this. I had a personal experience about 4 or 5 years ago, pre-COVID. There's a group of people in Southern California and in Arizona that go down into northern Mexico and administer the polio vaccines. And I got to do that a few years ago, which was great fun. This was to kids like 2 and under. The mama holds them, and you squeeze 3 drops of this magnificent liquid in their mouths, and it prevents polio for their life. So it's really great. Anyway, that was a real fun and personal experience on the polio thing. But it remains a big focus. We like to say we are this close to finishing, and then you have a war in Gaza, and all heck breaks loose, and it's very hard to keep up the shots or the drops going for that. So
Sure.
Anyway.
I know we got so close too at one point. It was just so
down
localized.
to 3 countries and 12 cases in the world or something like that. So we've had a lot of success. and we'll keep charging after that till we get it done.
There you go. Well, I was thinking, too, about some of the other international projects that the club in Oro Valley has done. So maybe I was thinking of some water projects and some housing projects and schools. So maybe I was interested to find that people in Oro Valley were traveling really to Guatemala and to far afield, not just over the border.
We've done a number of things in Central America. It's been a big focus, and they mainly are around clean water, restrooms in schools, libraries in schools, and so forth. So it's a big part of what we do. And I should add that when we do an international project, like, say, a school in Guatemala, we always have to team with a local Rotary club down there to do it. We're very focused on making sure we're doing what they need done, not what we think needs to be done. So getting the goal set up to begin with is really important in that.
It's nice to have that local input. So that like you say, so it really is resolving their problems.
Got to have it, yeah.
Right, not us telling them what we think it should be.
Right.
Very nice. Well, Rotary sounds like it's certainly very active all around the globe, and I'm thinking the Oro Valley Rotary has a sister club in Denia, Spain, is it?
Yes.
So that's kind of a fun, even further away.
Yeah, and one of our members, Rick Chimblow, has a place over there, and he spends his summer months in Denia. So he's been the bridge, and that's been a lot of fun. So, and it just on any international project, we team with other Rotary clubs, and we've teamed with the Denia Club on several projects.
And then I think some of the funds from the local club go to those programs and also from the foundation. Is that correct?
All the money that the Oro Valley Rotary Club has goes into the foundation, and that goes into these projects. So it's all coming from the foundation.
That's very cool. Well, it's a neat organization. And so how about some of the things, what are the things that Oro Valley Rotary contributes to at home, or some of the projects that if you were a member, you could get active in?
Well, there's a bunch of them. I'm sure I won't remember them all. We can help.
Oh, no.
We can help Edge. We're just advertising for people to sign up to be tutors and help people with their writing and so forth. So those kinds of options are certainly there.
Sure.
We have an Interact club that's very busy, and one of our members spends a lot of time with them. So that's important, and these are enthusiastic young high school kids and really do a great job. So as you've pointed out earlier, we use them to help, or we do quarterly trash pickups on a couple of roads in the area, and that's actually a lot of fun.
That's my favorite thing to do. I'm a member of Rotary, and ironically, it's my favorite thing to get out and do.
We've assisted on a couple of occasions with a handful of kids, and they always come back super excited from doing it. It's always amazing that they get up early on Saturday and go help them out. And so it's been a great connection there for a lot of our kids to get some outdoor time for sure.
Yeah, and it's interesting it just makes a big difference, I think, visually. The Oro Valley Rotary has a stretch of Oracle Road, and so when you're out there picking up all the things that blow in or come out of a car, a truck bed or something, it's just you really see the difference, and then it's just you feel good because you're making your community look beautiful.
Really is one of those feel-good activities, and doesn't take very long. It's, as I said, we do it quarterly. So sure. I'll sign you up next time, Barbara.
There you go. I go most of the time if it can fit my calendar. So it is my favorite thing. I think, too, the other, for listeners who might not know what Interact is kind of the entry to Rotary through high school.
Right.
Would that be a fair way to describe it? And so, of course, it'd be great to have some kids from Edge join the Interact, and we are at CDO.
CDO,
yeah. So and our Hemel Park campus actually has an Interact club, I think, with the Tucson Rotary. They're pretty active at the food bank and a few other places. So we're definitely connected with the Rotarians as a school.
And then even at Impact, I have to say that the Oro Valley Rotary partnered with us. It's hard to remember how long ago, but it was when...
It's been a good long while.
It has. It was when Trader Joe's first offered to provide rescue food to our food bank up in Catalina. And our staff, we were talking about it, because to commit to a Saturday is really challenging for a small staff. And so we thought, well, if the Rotary Club could just provide 3 or 4 members every Saturday, then we could get a volunteer to come down in the truck and pick up the food. And then what was nice about that is even at the Rotary, if you only have to do it, every now and then, it doesn't take up every Saturday, or you're not committing to an entire calendar of weekends. And so just recently we looked into it, and in the last 5 years, the Oro Valley Rotary has delivered to us over 130,000 pounds of grocery rescue food from Trader Joe's. And like you said, Gary, it's always a wide variety of things, and it's so fun to see some things come through the food bank where clients say, what is that kind of food?
Yeah.
So that's been a big help for impact for sure.
Well, it's fun and it's easy and it's fast. It only takes an hour and a half door to door from my house to do it. So it's great fun. I look forward to it.
Yes, thank you. I know you've been involved in that team for a long time, so we appreciate it. And then maybe back to Edge for a few minutes. I was thinking, you were saying you have some kids who came out and volunteered with the program. Do you have volunteer opportunities for your kids? And I know you've got some after-school opportunities and things you do.
Yeah.
To expose them to community, so it's not just books, education.
Absolutely. Yeah. We partner with many nonprofits and outside agencies, and part of the principles and goals for Edge is service. So service learning is one of the big things that we advocate for. So all students that graduate from Edge High School have to do actually 15 hours of service learning, and then they have to come back into the school and put together a brief presentation and present that to the other students or the staff at the school. So many have done anything from, PAC or working with Southern Arizona AIDS Foundation or AZYP. We've done, I believe, actually one of our students used the road cleanup as all of his hours. So it was an interesting presentation because he showed us pictures of things that he found, which was relatively funny and kind of it was a filler PowerPoint basically, right?
Well, actually, that's I have to say, even when the members are out there doing it, it is not a competition, but it's kind of a funny moment where it's like, who found the strangest thing, or who found
we share.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely. One of the great pieces, though, is Edge does a day of service. So we lock in a day, usually early in the second semester, and we typically go either to one or two nonprofits, and we spend a whole day at their facility helping them do whatever it is that they need help with. Recently at Northwest Campus, we've done a couple different days with Gap Ministries, which is one of the really strong programs that are on our side of town, where they're providing, similar to Impact. They're helping out with families and food and clothing and all those things. And we've done things like, move a couple tons of rock, to dip in chocolate strawberries, to all kinds of things. And it's just one of the pieces that I always express to a new family that's visiting us, or somebody that's maybe possibly going to look at coming to Edge, as I express to them, it's always amazing to me to see students who maybe don't say a whole lot, they're a little more inverted and don't talk a whole lot during school. But man, we get them out into the community, put them in a nonprofit situation, give them a little bit of leadership with a particular activity or project, and boom, they are talking, they're moving around, they're, having their friends help them out. And it's just wonderful to see kids come out of their shell when they're doing some kind of service activity or, helping with some of the things that are going on in the community. So we're always looking for those service type events, and our students have spread themselves pretty well across, the northwest side of town. And then our Himmel Park campus has students that are working with Tucson Village Farm down on Campbell, and we've done several other places. So it's wonderful to see the service piece. The interaction that our students have had with the Rotarians, or Oro Valley Rotarians specifically on my campus, has been huge, because they begin to see that this isn't just something that you have to do for school. It's just not an activity. It's something that people do for fun. It's a lifelong commitment for those pieces. And I think they really do begin to see the reality of the impact it has, not only on the community, but even internationally. Last year we had it was a Zoom meeting, I guess, for lack of better words, with a couple of the Rotarian groups that were actually in
some other country.
It'll
come back to.
That's funny. Anyway, so we had a really good interaction, and the kids got to see some of the things that were going on with regards to outside of the United States, even. So it's been very impactful, and I can see when Rotarians come on campus or they travel with us to field trips, because as Gary said, that they've sponsored all kinds of opportunities for us. We've gone to Pima Community College to see their vocational programs. We've taken students down to the Rogue Theater and Scoundrel and Scamp and Live Theater Workshop for all kinds of interactions with drama and plays, which is huge for our students. And in the bigger picture, we've used that money to do trips to Southern Arizona Construction Days, which is a big event across the high school range with like construction companies working together along with the Pima JTED program to basically expose students to possibilities of jobs and some of the opportunities that they can have that's maybe not even college-oriented at that point. So it's been a phenomenal partnership for us, and it's been really eye-opening for a lot of our students because it's given them some chances and some opportunities that they really probably wouldn't have gotten without it. So
I know my husband and I always say it's about experience and exposure. And, and growing up, if you're not exposed to a lot of different things, you just don't know what's out there.
Oh, absolutely. And I think in the world that we're in now, it's changing even quicker in education, especially like we're preparing students for things that don't even exist right now. And it's not a 10 or 15 year window where that's coming. We're talking 2 or 3 years from now, there'll be jobs or positions or things that no one's really ever considered. And, students are looking at that as possibilities or, exposure to anything is going to be beneficial for them. And it's sometimes difficult when you have tight budgets and you work in a field where it's not always funded properly at a state level or even a federal level. So we cherish these opportunities and we really make sure that the students take advantage of them to the best of our ability. And in many instances, it's been life-changing for some of them. So it's really cool.
And I think that field trips are one of the things that go early when a budget cut. So really, for the Rotary to be able to fund field trips and bring that exposure to people is huge.
Oh, absolutely. It's the first thing, field trips or some of those extracurricular activities, and then, copy supplies and pens and pencils and things like that. And that's one of the things that they've done the last couple of years or we're getting ready to do is they as a club or as a organization, they bring in a couple boxes of paper for us, tons of whatever we request, and it's just this great opportunity then because most of the members from the Rotary Club come in and meet with students and interact with them, and I think kids get an idea that, hey, this is a community-based event, and we're really happy that these students are getting the opportunity to see how people are helping them. It's not just them against whoever's out there in the world. And so it's been great, the community building that we've had with the Rotarians, because it really has exposed students to opportunities, and there's so many of them that are specifically engaged in working with our campus right now. It's great. So
it's fun. I loved your comment about kids today when they try to figure out what they want to be, and what they want to be is so limited by their exposure, but also, as you say, things change. Even at Impact, we have a job training program. So we have a lot of adults who come to us and they've had some financial, not a failure, but a financial hole that they've ended up in, most often because of medical issues that set you back. And so a lot of people need retraining or to get into a different job because your job may not have held your position as you were out on medical leave. And what has been nice is we've partnered with Pima Community College, and we can put people through a 12-week robotics course so that then they can just turn around and start at a $40,000, $50,000 level job after 12 weeks of training. And then we work on a holistic piece of it. We don't just get them the job because we recognize we have to help them keep the job. Right. But that's to be in those high-demand, high-wage jobs.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So, and then we work with the departments of economic development. So, by the time you go through that kind of class, you have all these businesses on the other end who say, we need people who are certified in robotics and in all this new, and even up in our area north of us, the mines, mining is still very active. It's just not done in the same way. And so I know we've got to train people on a whole new set of skills. So it is kind of fun to be involved in watching it all change.
Oh, I totally agree. We've been working as diligently as possible, helping students do some cybersecurity coursework, alternative type programs where you can they're hybrid. We can do them at school, and then they go to the sites and do them. So it's helpful because not all of our students have transportation or have the means to get certain places. So if we're able to do some of that, remotely or hybrid, it's really helpful. And the partnerships that we've created with like Pima Community College and their vocational programs and Pima JTED, those are all super helpful programs because I think we got stuck in a rut a while back where everybody felt like they needed to finish high school, go to college, and then that's the process. And that's not always the case for all of our students and not for everyone. So we need to make sure that they understand that, if you're going to be a welder and you want to be a welder, there's a program that you can go do that and become certified, and that's going to provide a pretty nice lifestyle for you overall. And here in Tucson, the aviation mechanic programming that they have at Pima, and some of those are programs that a lot of us are starting to get a little older, and some of us are starting to retire, and so there are places out there where they're basically begging for kids to come in, young adults, to come in and do those programs, and it takes some of the pieces that they're missing at school with even English and math, because there are expectations that you have those in place. So we're working to try to, here's the education piece of it, but also here's the training, as you were stating, to help them better their lives and hopefully make some steps so that they can work into a pretty comfortable lifestyle for the rest of their life. It's important, and it's a difficult road sometimes with some folks.
Well, and I think it's difficult when technology is changing so fast.
It is changing fast, isn't it?
Sure.
And the lack of knowledge about what's out there is a big problem, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm the adult principal at the building, and I every once in a while I'm like, wow, I didn't know you could do that. Like, look at this. This is an amazing thing. And, we'll share it with staff and we'll start putting it out. But even as educators, you can't keep up. And then students want to do things a different way or this way, which typically is how's the easiest, fastest, quickest way. And we're like, sometimes that's not always the best route to go. We got to learn some of these things and put some of these things in place so that we can really help you get to a spot where you're going to be able to take care of yourself. But the change in technology, the just overall change in education and technology, not even direct. We don't have direct instruction. We don't have students in classrooms where a teacher's in the front of the building. It's online, in a room, and each one of us could be doing a different math class at the same time, but we're all in a math class, and it's really interesting to see that piece happen. I think it takes away from a few things, but it also is important because not everyone fits that model of a traditional, high school model where you're in a direct instruction classroom for 6 or 7 hours.
Sure. And I think we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, I wanted to talk a little bit more about JTED and with Gary about how the Rotary is involved in JTED, and then a story from Impact about that. We'll be back.
Today's program is brought to you by SKIP, the Social Service Contractors Indemnity Pool. SKIP is a member-owned, member-directed insurance provider with more than 3 decades of insuring Arizona social service organizations for their property, general and professional liability, and auto claim exposures. With an Arizona-based staff of claim underwriting and risk management professionals, SKIP specializes in providing personalized service, affordable premiums, and coverage which meets and often exceeds the state of Arizona's contract requirements for social service providers. For more information, visit our website at www.sscip.org or ask your insurance agent about protecting your organization with insurance coverage through SKIP.
Welcome back. This is Barbara McClure, and I'm sitting here around the table with David Thatcher, principal of Edge High School, and Gary Coxon, who is a member and chair of the Oro Valley Foundation, but also a member of the Rotary, Oro Valley Rotary, and chair of the foundation. But Gary's involved in all kinds of things and has been active in Rotary a long time. So we're talking about Rotary and how it affects our world and how it improves our local lives, and also how Edge has a nice new model that helps kids who sounds like maybe struggle in some other traditional school situations really can thrive at Edge. So I thought I would talk to you, Gary, about some of the funding. We talked a little bit about how Oro Valley's giving money away and doing things to support the community and the world, but Maybe you could tell us about the Taste of Oro Valley, knowing that's such a big event for our local group.
It is a big event. The Taste of Oro Valley is something we've been doing now, I think it's 8 years. So we're starting to really get good at it. It is our major fundraiser for the year. We get about a dozen local restaurants to offer some tastes of their food. We have beer and wine and margaritas for sale, soft drinks and water, a live band, an auction, dancing, all sorts of things going on. So it's a really fun evening. We do it in the spring of the year, typically about the end of March, 1st of April. We're hoping to keep some of the snowbirds here when we're doing that. But anyway, we've had great turnouts. This last year, unfortunately, we got blown out. We got up Saturday morning to set up for this, started setting up some tents, and the wind was really intense. And so we ended up having to cancel it. But the good news out of that was we have a lot of sponsors, local businesses, and every one of them agreed to let us keep their sponsorship money. We sold a lot of tickets, and just almost all the tickets that were sold, the buyers said, keep our money. So we actually had a pretty good year in spite of having to have canceled the event at the last minute. But it's been a fun event. It's getting bigger every year. We get someplace between 300 and 500 people, and it's growing. So great fun. It is our one big fundraiser for the year, so it's very important. It funds things like what we do with EDGE and our international projects and so forth. So got to have money to make these things happen.
It's true. And Impact has been a beneficiary as well, which we so appreciate being, partnered that way with the Rotary on that program. And it is, when you go, it's like coming to a great big community block party.
Yeah,
is how I feel about it.
Description,
Wonderful.
I like that.
It's just in a big park area, and so you roam around and you meet new people, and you just get to know more about your community. So, for me, it's always a fun thing to be at, which is nice. So,
The social event of the year, I call it. So
Yeah.
it's important to us.
It's definitely a family-friendly event, and it's great because you give opportunities for, like EDGE and Impact. We get to go out and have a table and get to interact with all of the students that are coming, all the families and folks that are coming in, and really share our information and kind of where we're coming from. And it's the couple times I've visited, it's been amazing. I've had a great time.
Great. We'd like to hear that.
that's right. And I think for the community, it's something to keep an eye out for. And I know this year, because it was Oro Valley's 50th anniversary, it was the Taste of Oro Valley Life. So, maybe we'll do that again, have some other Oro Valley members representing at tables so people can learn more about Oro Valley as well as the Rotary there.
I think that's the plan, but we're just starting to plan for this next year's event, so lots to be determined.
That's true. But people can keep an eye out for that. And as you said, it's usually the springtime. So before it's too hot, but after the rains, after the cold.
If only there wasn't wind.
That's true. And it was crazy this year.
Yeah,
so
it was.
it's that was a sad thing to do. Everybody was very disappointed, but it'll be back, I'm sure. So that's a neat opportunity for us. And then do you know offhand some of the other people that have benefited in the past from that event?
Oh, goodness. It would be any and all of our projects, because just about all of them cost some money. And that is our funding source for it. So if we're doing adding bathrooms to a school in El Salvador or Nicaragua or someplace, that's where that money comes from. We've had some special, you two were both recipients of part of the income from last year's activity. So,
Sure.
it funds us for the year. So we have lots of both international and domestic projects that we're participating in. So most all of those have some financial cost, and that all comes mainly from the Taste of Oro Valley.
Sure. That's nice. It's helpful. I know Emerge received some money this year, too.
They
and
sure did.
At Impact, Lisa Bayless was one of the sponsors, and she put in an extra fund and an extra programming for feeding seniors through Impact. So we will be expanding our senior meals program
that was
thanks to her.
amazing.
That was a wonderful thing for her to do.
Yes, she's a a fan of impact, which is nice, but also, they try to invest, I think, $100,000 a year, the Lisa Bayless team, in community.
That's amazing.
And
Yeah,
so
she's phenomenal.
Yeah, definitely, as an Oro Valley realtor. And so, although she works all over Tucson, I'm sure, but it's just a neat contribution to the community. So that helps. And then I think there have been other people, too, over the years. So it's, like you say, it's almost hard to remember everybody because there are so many nonprofits that do so much work in this town. Hence the point of the show, so that people can learn about some of these nonprofits you don't even know exist. I think we have over 2,000 in Tucson.
In Tucson, I bet.
So
easily.
It is hard to catch up with everybody. I was going to ask you, Gary, about the foundation because I know our club gets grants from the Oro Valley Foundation. So are there specific things the foundation tries to fund, or do people apply to the foundation?
Well, we have two different people in our club that are responsible for one for international and one for domestic programs. And so they each year come to the foundation and say, here's kind of how we give them a set amount of money, how they'd like to spend that money. And so it's really up to them, but we consistently, find recipients that we think are really worthwhile, like Edge High School, and there will be people in there fighting for domestic program money to help them out. In addition to that, the Rotary District that you mentioned earlier has a grants program. It's a matching grants. So if we were to put up, let's say, $4,000 for some event and applied for a grant, and they would meet that $4,000. So that's another great source of money. That's actually Rotary money that comes back to the Rotary clubs. But it's a great way to fund projects, and we've done a bunch of things. With Edge, we talked about these field trips to different places. That was part of how that was used. A few years ago, we did a hearing aid drive, and we're able to buy some equipment for this audiologist who has a not-for-profit that does works mainly on the Indian reservations and in northern Mexico. We collected hearing aids and they reconditioned them and so forth. But anyway, it was a very successful project. So lots of things, as wild as you can imagine, all sorts of things. and we love these matching grants. It's pretty nice if we can put up so many $1,000 and it's met by the district. So it's not free money, but it's good money, right?
Sure, and it comes back. I think as Rotary is a dues organization, a membership organization. So when part of your dues go to the parent group, essentially, and it is nice for them to be able to give it back locally for local programming. So that's fun. One story I wanted to share about impact and how we partnered with Rotary, which we do in so many different ways all the time, but with one client in particular was a woman who had two, she was married, and they started their family and had twins, a set of twins. And when those twins were just under 2, the father decided he was done and left the marriage and took most of the things with him. And so this woman was left to raise these 2 children on her own, and she came to Impact, and we had helped her for many, many years with clothing and just food, to ways to stretch her budget, basically. And I think her family was in the picture, so her parents were able to help her also. But as time went on, she had come into the lobby one day, and we have a job board up in the lobby. So local employers will post openings and post opportunities. And next to the job opportunities board is the job training opportunities board, and then some business cards for other people. And so she was standing at the counter. This is her story that she told me, that she's standing at the counter and she looked over and saw a list for nursing training. And we also put people through caregiving training, which is often a first step in that ladder. But she was already underway at the University of Arizona trying to get a nursing degree. And she wasn't at that point, but she said, I remembered when I was young, I always wanted to be a nurse. Mm-hmm. And because my life took this kind of crazy road off to the side, I never came back to that. And so that was the impetus that made her realize she missed that opportunity and she wanted to go back. So she started at Pima Community College to get those classes, and then she got transferred into the U of A and was accepted. And so at this point, when she came in, she had 1 year left, I think. And so we connected her with that vocational grant opportunity at Rotary, and Rotary funded her a large chunk of her tuition for that one of those semesters. And then we helped her. We always bought her scrubs and things like that. And in the end, she graduated with honors, and she is a full-blown RN. And last I heard, she was applying for a job as surgical RN. Mm-hmm. And so she is, and she met a gentleman not too long ago who's turned out to be a great life partner, and they're getting married, and the girls are now 11, I think. And life is going to go on with a little happy ever after ending, but it's because we were able to bring Rotary in, and it's the way Impact works anyway. We bring in lots of people, and I know Dave and I have talked about ways Impact can support his students. So there will be lots of opportunities, and it's only by bringing all these resources and all these nonprofits together that we're all able to do so much in this community. So it's why I'm so proud to be part of Oro Valley Rotary and to be part of the Tucson community in general.
That's a great story. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Amazing. There's it makes me think of even just students from Edge when we see them. I really believe that Edge is a school for students that when we meet the student at the door and they're coming in for the first time, sometimes they're just not that interested in being there, and we have to excite them and invite them in and really show them that we can help them. And sometimes they want to fight with us and battle and try to show us that they know more than we do, or they have more life experience than others, and they don't really need an education. And it's been an amazing last few years. We've had so many students who, coming out of the COVID, the pandemic and the lockdown, that are starting to really realize, hey, I got to figure out how to re-socialize myself out in the community, figure out if I'm going to hold a job and move forward, and what are my life goals. And I think Edge does a really good job at that, because we allow students to be who they are at school, educate themselves, and then figure out, fail, maybe mess up a little bit, make mistakes in a safe education environment so that they can prepare themselves for real life and stepping outside in the community. And every year in May when we run graduations, I've been in education for a long time, 30 years, and I've seen a lot of graduation ceremonies. But Edge runs a really special one because it's very personal. We have maybe 20 kids that graduate each year. But we've spent so much time one-on-one with them and interacting with them. They're our kids, they're our family. And I have a gentleman I work with. He calls them our team, our crew. And so when we do that, the students that are walking across the stage, it's huge hand slaps and hugs and honestly quite a few tears. And usually by the end, there's just so much thanks and happiness and gratitude because a year ago or 2 years ago, depending on how long the students with us at Edge, they weren't ready to do what they needed to do to educate themselves and move towards just getting that high school diploma. And the success rate when we do that is amazing. Now we have students that are finishing up and graduating, they're moving into careers that they didn't know about, as we've kind of talked about, and they come back and visit every once in a while and just amaze us at what's happened. And sometimes Barbie asked me about a specific story, and I'm like, all right, I can't tell a specific story because if I tell it, it'll be so specific. Everyone will know exactly who I'm talking about. So I'm trying to be kind of vague in general, but I'm telling you, when you see, because of the help that the Rotarians have given us, because of the funds, because we took a student to, I'm going to say Southern Arizona Construction Days, and the student saw, hey, I like that backhoe, and I think I could run that, and I think I can. And then they figure out maybe I can get that job, and someone there grabs a hold of them, shows interest, tells them, hey, it's really something you can do. You just have to do these steps, and they're like, oh, that's all. And that fear, that scared, that that shield that they put up when they're first coming in the door goes away or has gone away, and the growth that we see in students is amazing. So if you're struggling and you feel like maybe you're not doing what you need to do traditional school-wise, or if you have family or friends that know, students that are that way, feel free to make contact with us. We'd love to show you our facility and give you an idea of what we're about, because I think, honestly, in the day and age that we're in right now, we can really help students move to a space that's going to be helpful for them. And I have countless, as a district, as our two schools, we have countless stories for that, and just the growth of students. And it's a wonderful little place. Some students are like, but you're in this little business district. I'm like, yeah, and no one knows we're here. We're this quiet little place, and you don't even know we're in here. And it's the best thing that we can do, because you come, you do school, and you go live your life. And that's the best thing I can say about Edge, because we do meet students where they're at, and they come, they do what they need to do. And quite honestly, they keep coming back because they'd love to share their successes with us once they've left school. So it's wonderful.
Sure. And are you saying then that that's why students should look to attend Edge? Because
Oh, absolutely. I think that
Sure.
there's some pieces to that, and I've alluded to that in various little ways. But, being in education for a long time, I've worked at Pima JTED. I've worked at some of these larger traditional school districts. They all serve purpose. They all put their pieces in place. There are students that works for. Edge works for a student that maybe doesn't fit the normal model or needs something special, a shorter day, a smaller class, some serious one-on-one support, flexibility. Maybe they've been, picked on, bullied, school isn't working, they sit by themselves at lunch, whatever the story is. We all have our stories from school. We can help them with that piece, and it's the most welcoming, family-oriented, and I use that term, not as we're a family, but we want you to come and we want you to be there, because you have to come into the school building to do the work to be successful. And so if you're struggling and you know a student, or you have a high school age kid, I would love for you to. We have two campuses: Tucson Boulevard and Speedway, Himmel Park, or Edge Northwest is at Ina and Oracle. We are more than willing and welcome to have students come in and visit, and we can share our great splendor with our partnership with the Oro Valley Rotarians and several of the other nonprofits that we work with, because they come in also, and I'm not lessening them, but they definitely come in and show kids opportunities between Goodwill and some of the other nonprofits that we work with.
That's great. I know I was thinking that the Edge High School started as kind of a school where kids who were struggling in the traditional model were placed over there or went to that.
Oh, absolutely.
But it's really become its own unique thing since then.
Edge started as actually an adult education process back in 95 with the founder. The campus that I work at started in, I believe, 2001. And honestly, in the past, working at some larger traditional high school districts, we actually, when we would suspend students, we would send them to Edge, and that's where they would go to work on their credits and possibly return. But now we don't see that as often. The students that are coming to us are students that are really, they're struggling with some things, whether it's family-wise or they need a smaller space. Some of the anxiety, depression, some of the other pieces that are out there in society now that are a little more prevalent. It's a place where they're welcome to come in and they can express themselves and still get the education that they need so that they can finish high school. And really, honestly, we can create a plan for each student individually. It seems kind of crazy to say, but we do have individual programming for students, and they go at their own pace, and they can finish super fast, or they can take a little longer than some of the other students, depending on how they learn. And quite honestly, we all know that it's not always a custom box for education. You can't, you don't walk in and listen to a teacher talk, take notes, and understand what's going on. So I think it's important to know that there are other options out there that are not just traditional education programs.
Sure. That's very fun. Well, it sounds like such a neat place, for sure.
It's amazing.
It is amazing. It's good, worth a tour. So people should probably go down and check it out, take a tour. Maybe you probably utilize volunteers, community volunteers.
Sure. As Gary has said, we have a couple Rotarians that come on, and they're helping with our English class, working on essays. Volunteers overall, we use them for various things. So yeah, if you're interested in giving back or supporting in your own way, stop by, and we can completely help you set up a possibility for doing some volunteer work.
Very nice.
I know our members that are volunteering there are enjoying it immensely.
There you go. That's a good plug for sure.
Absolutely. I think it opened their eyes, to be honest.
I'm sure it has, yeah.
One of them was definitely an educator in the past, and I think that she has had an amazing time. She gets to work one-on-one with students, and as a teacher, you rarely get to work one-on-one with a student. So
Sure.
now she gets to spend time working one-on-one, and typically facilitating with some essay writing, which is always one of the more difficult parts of our curriculum. But yeah, it's a great place to do that. And I think if you just like high school age students, come in, we definitely meet you at the door. And we have referenced 9 to 12 as a high school age, but we do have several older students. We have students that are 18, 19, and 20 who have dropped out, been out of school for a while, or for whatever reasons. Maybe they were just not able to attend because they had family, circumstances or something along those lines. But we definitely serve students up to age 22, and we can help them get themselves back on track and move towards that graduation goal that they have.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for all the wonderful work you're doing.
Thanks.
I was going to ask you, Gary, for people who've been listening, can you tell us a little bit more about Rotary and how often the Rotary meets? Excuse me, and how someone would get involved? Can they come to a meeting and find out what we do? Can they?
Absolutely. They're always welcome. I'm sure that's true of all the Rotary clubs. By the way, in our district, which is Southern Arizona, there are 50 clubs, and the greater Tucson area must have 10 or 12. I haven't counted them, but quite a number. So there are great choices that are close to where you live, whether it's Marana or South Tucson. So lots of different clubs. Many of them meet around a meal. Our club is a breakfast club, but there are lunch clubs, dinner clubs, and other clubs that don't have any meal associated with it. But it's great fun. All of our clubs are looking for members. We always need more help. There's lots of work to be done in this community and in this world. And if you're a person that's interested in making the lives of others better, come join Rotary. We'll put you to work.
There you go. So I think just check the Rotary. All the websites for our guests are on the episode page. So maybe you can find out more about the Oro Valley Rotary right on the episode page for the podcast, but also I think they all have their own websites, so you can look them up by club to find out specifically. So that's a good way to start.
At oralvalleyrotary.org, and you'll get there.
There you go. And then I had some other thought. As you were saying, we have so many sponsors at Rotary who sponsor the Taste of Oro Valley or other things.
Never enough.
That's right, never enough, because when you are hearing all these amazing things that we're able to do at the Rotary, and when we can fund a project like Edge High School or a project within the school, or just give the school some funds to use as they need, and to be able to bring what's nice as a Rotary member is, as Dave was saying, they provide school supplies. And as a member, it's just like, hey, on the, next month on the third Thursday, we're going to have a drive. Everybody just bring it. So when you're coming to the meeting anyway, you just bring your items, and then someone from the meeting makes sure it gets it over to Edge. So it's really such an easy thing to do. And I was thinking that's easy for a member, but for sponsors, if sponsors and businesses in the community are thinking, this is a neat way for me to partner with a Rotary to be able to fund the works that are being done in education and in social services and all the different people that Rotary helps, it's a neat way to spread your money a long way.
It certainly is. And as I mentioned earlier, we're able to get matching grants sometimes, typically one a year. We're kind of limited on the number that we can do and how big they can be, but that's another way. But direct contributions, people who are willing to stand up and be a sponsor, let's say, of Taste of Oro Valley, those are really important to us. So they're helping us a lot.
Sure. And I know recently you've been working on a grant for Springboard, and Springboard has been a guest on this show. So it's going to be very nice to know that you're helping so many of the different nonprofits in the community. I think other than that, do you guys have any other things that are coming up, any events or needs? And let me ask you, Dave, because I thought of this, because you're a nonprofit, even though you're a public school, are you a tax credit nonprofit from a QCO, or are you also tuition? Do you have two tax credits that you can get?
So we use the regular state tax credit program. That's $400 for couples and $250 for singles. And then as a nonprofit, we also can take, obviously, donations in that capacity.
Sure.
We're a tuition-free school, so we're a public charter school. We can't charge tuition. But with regards to donations and at-large contributions, we are always open to those pieces. We have several programs that have come over that we've gone solar at one of our campuses through grants. And we, in a bigger picture, at any education program is going to take any funds that anyone's willing to give.
Sure.
So if you have the desire to help students across Pima County that are struggling or underserved, or you feel like we meet a niche that you like because it's a small public charter school where, we help kids be successful when they maybe haven't been successful in the past, you come knock on our doors, give us a phone call. We are more than willing to chat and talk with you about ways that you can help support us 100%, above and beyond anything that Oro Valley Rotary would be giving us, of course. But that's it's
an endless opportunity, really.
We're education. We don't ask for money in the sense that we don't do that because people think we get funded because of taxes and all the other pieces. Yes, that is a true statement. But in reality, as I've told at meetings, we're at the bottom of the barrel. So we're at the bottom of the ladder when you're only getting about $11,000 for a student. Trust me, it costs way more to just educate them. And if you want that one-on-one touch and support and helping bring a kid that hasn't been in school for a couple years back, it's not a simple, cheap task. It costs a lot to have the support and an educator and someone that's there to really spend some time with them. And I know in my time and career as an educator, everyone always thanks you and says, "Hey, you've done a great job, and I appreciate your time and your work as an educator. You do a job that I would never do." Think about that when you're contributing or looking at those things. Yes, we do jobs that you might not want to do because it's for the bigger community of Tucson and then the United States and then larger, obviously. And with help from Rotary and places like that, we get to expose our kids to all these opportunities and things that they may not have had an opportunity to do, which is making it more international and more thought-provoking for them. Like, hey, I don't have to just stay here in Tucson to do what I want to do or what I'm going to do. I can go do something else. So it's really an amazing opportunity.
Well, and I think a lot of people are familiar with tax credits, but are always surprised to find you can contribute to someone like Impact and get your $400 or $800, or now it's $421, an $800 donation, but you can also then contribute to schools. So really there are nearly $3,000 worth of tax credits people can take.
There's countless ways to donate.
So it's good to know. And Gary, did you have something to add?
I just wanted to give a pitch for membership and say that our Rotary Club, and certainly I think all Rotary Clubs, are always looking for members that are willing to help out in the community and in the world, do good things and feel good for doing that, meet wonderful people, and really importantly, have fun. We have a lot of fun at our meetings. Typically, a meeting has a great speaker, and we talk about the status of both planned projects and ongoing projects. So our meetings last about an hour or something like that. But there's lots of Rotary clubs. Come join ours or find another one someplace, and we'd love to have you.
There you go. And no wonder it's such a large organization across the globe. Well, thank you both for your time today and for our listeners to tuning in. And we will see you again at the next opportunity.